Egunon, buenos días, good morning. Well, I will change into English as we are going to have our session today in English. Welcome to this talk, to this session of Gastronomy Shapers. A pleasure to be connected. As you know, as I guess, as most of you know, this academic year, we launched a new initiative called Gastronomy Shapers to invite professionals from all over the world to join our center, our activities, and to invite them to share their vision, their experience, their vision about their profession. We have invited many professionals from different sectors of gastronomy. You know that we practice, we believe, and we practice the idea that there are many professions in gastronomy, not only chefs, not only front of the house professionals or managers, but also event managers, researchers, journalists in talking about gastronomy. And today we are going to invite a professional from the beverage sector, renowned and I would say award-winning professional in bartender and in the drinks industry, Alex Kratena, and he will be joining us. And as we have mentioned in previous session, we would like to develop this idea that there are many professions in gastronomy, and in every profession we have people that are transforming their sector, that they are innovating, entrepreneuring, they are like making the difference. So today we are going to have, as I was saying, one impressive professional, Alex from London. Welcome. It's a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Good morning. Good morning from London. I apologize, I'm a little manic here because I'm just receiving some alcohol orders. But it's great to be here, and thank you to the Basque Culinary Center for having me. I'm gonna share the screen with everyone. So if you want.
Yeah, Alex, just 1 second. I would like also to introduce Maggie Echeverria. She's a professor in the service department, and I would like her to make like a small presentation of you. Just probably most of the students know you, but we would like to remind them the great opportunity and privilege we have having you here with us.
Thank you.
Maggie.
Good afternoon, Alex. Good afternoon, Jose Mari. As Jose Mari was saying, we guess that everyone here in the audience knows perfectly who Alex Kratena is, but just in case that anyone is a bit lost, just as a little reminder, is that it's Alex Kratena started their knowledge in the hotel industry in Czech Republic. Then he went to New York City, to Japan, and finally he arrived in London in a local that was called Artesian, and that he led the bar and all the team to be included in as being named of the world's best bar, including in the list of 50 best bars from 2012 until their departure in 2015. And as their current specialties or this entrepreneurship that was Jose Mari talking about, it includes the project of the drinks industry non-profit organization called POUR, and also 2 bars called Tire and Elementary. As we were saying, Alex, it's a pleasure to Basque Culinary Center to have you here. So whenever you want, you can just share your screen. Thank you very much.
Lovely. Thank you so much. I'm bringing the screen on now, and I hope everybody can see it. I'm gonna pull this up. Perfect. Here we go. Well, once again, great to be here. The name of the session today, I call it the modern bartender, because I think I'm old enough that I can say I could have witnessed the recent development of sort of last 20 years and what the cocktail industry especially has gone through. My name is Alex Kratena. I'm first of all a bartender. I'm a co-owner of Tire and Elementary in London. I run Pour Symposium together with Simone Caporal and Monica Berg. I have a little liquor brand, and we have also a small company developing alcoholic products. So today I'm going to be talking mainly about my career, what shaped me, and how do I find it myself. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my current projects and the whys behind them. And I'm also going to touch upon on what, in my opinion, makes a bar great, because that was one of the things the team at the Basque Culinary Center wanted me to talk about. The start, probably a shocking picture for many of you, and the thing most people don't actually know about me. I never really wanted to be a bartender. I never planned to be a bartender. I have fallen into it because throughout my teenage years, all I was doing was graffiti, which brought me into a lot of trouble. My parents kicked me out of the house. And because I suddenly had to make money myself, I actually ended up in hospitality. I'm almost 40 years old now, so I think my career can be summed up by a little meme. I'm definitely the generation which has seen the entire development of the modern cocktail culture, but also I think we still, up until today, we are trying to overcome the image of what bartending is and why it should be a respected profession. I have seen the development of the cocktail culture, but I didn't start in a cocktail bar. For me, I started in the pub. I work in the cafe. I work in the nightclubs for a big part of my life. And I only really got super serious and focused about cocktails in a very late stage. But thinking of it today, when I'm reflecting on things, I definitely can see a pattern. And the pattern is that each of those places, no matter whether it was a pub, no matter whether it was a disco, nightclub, or a cafe, each of those places gave me a foundation for the career. And still up until today, I do encourage young bartenders, first of all, to take time to learn, but also, most importantly, work in as many different styles of places as possible, because in every place you will learn something. And the corporate environment will give you probably a good understanding of the finance, which is one of the key foundations of the business. Nightclub will give you speed. Each place will teach you something you will find useful. And I often see it on the staff and my team when I hire them, that sometimes the skills we really need to be working on are missing there or are not present, simply because they haven't done a particular type of establishment. I always make a joke with my team. Most of the cocktail bartenders today don't know how to change a keg of the beer. Anyways, I'm not gonna be talking anymore about all the places I worked. I think most people know me for Artisan at the Langham, a very opulent and stylish cocktail bar here in London, which I have opened 2006, 2007. It hasn't really been on the radar until 2012, when it started to win some awards. But the main reason why I want to touch upon artisan is because it was a very particular style, and I think when you look at cocktails and how they changed over the last couple of decades, we have seen a massive development of a style, and I think we can confidently compare it to the development which we have seen in cuisine. You know, classic cooking, nouvelle cuisine, going to molecular, Nordic, the modern seasonal simplicity. I think very much we've seen this wave going through to the cocktail world, but because we live in this hectic era, these changes often happen so much more often, and that's why on one hand we can see the things like, for example, the one picture here of this mad modernist design infusion vessel with a cocktail, and then on the other hand, we can see what's happening in the cocktail bars now. Shortly after leaving Artesian, I took some time off because everybody has been, that's what they recommended me, take time and learn new things. And that's what I did. I also felt that it was important to do a lot of things in between, simply because I didn't want to open the next place, which would be Artesian 2.0. I wanted to open something which is going to be radically different and much more focused, perhaps, ironically, when talking about the hotel bar. So after leaving, we started to go on these crazy trips. Over here, you can see Monica Simone with a bunch of our friends on an expedition to Amazon with amazing chef and dear friend Pedro Miguel Scafino. We went to Ukraine, we went to Middle East, and the purpose of all of these trips and all of these travels was to go explore places, learn about techniques, learn about ingredients, discover produce, and then turn them into cocktails where all the produce was coming exclusively from that region. And I think that was definitely several of these trips were defining moments of my career, because they completely shaken everything and anything I knew about bartending. But it also opened my eyes to the fact that everywhere I went, no matter whether it was Israel, Beirut, whether it was Amazon, whether it was Middle East, all of these places you find absolutely amazing ingredients, absolutely amazing alcohols, and suddenly you realize, wow, cocktails is not only the classic cocktails from the books we've been reading. That's only one style, and that made me realize that perhaps classic cocktails are the comfort food, but there's so much more to explore and so much more to learn about. And I think if I can sum up of all of these trips, it brought us to a little philosophy which has been shapen with all those things we experience around the world. The use of produce, understanding that all ingredients have the same culinary value, despite what they cost. The citrus, the sugar, the fortified wines, the spirits are as important like any other thing in that formula. Choosing fresh ingredients, bought daily, and working with the farmers, having a relationship with those producers, that suddenly became very important to me, because I have realized that there was no soul and no point. It was almost cheating the guest if you just take money from bunch of the big alcohol companies and then curate menus based on what people paid you. So I want to know the distiller. If I put something on the menu, I want to be able to say, I've been to this winery, I know I've been to the brewery, I know how this is made, I have witnessed it, and I know why it is so good. The next thing is the product knowledge. So I think bartenders, we often tend to learn about history, but what we lack is in-depth learning about products and ingredients, and that's other things I'm trying to change with activities like Pour Symposium. You know, these days we claim that a lot of the education is done by the brands, but in my humble opinion, education is the new marketing. So a lot of the things when we say we're learning, we're actually being marketed to, and that's why we need institutions like Basque Culinary Center, which provide an independent perspective. So overall, when it comes to the produce, I think the future, or what's happening in the cocktail now, is that we have cocktails which are driven experience, which express the quality, the freshness, and the simplicity of the produce we work with. And lastly, is the old-fashioned practices and modern techniques. I definitely do not oppose to technology, and I think it's great to improve and support new drinks development, and we often employ technology in development of our drinks. But one thing I have learned from a chef friend of mine from Trondheim, Heidi Bjerkan, is that she told me once the bravest thing is to manipulate as little as possible. But of course, in order to be able to do that, you need to have best produce possible. And I think these three things, these are the three pillars which make the modern cocktail. Over here, you see my partner, Monica, and myself standing in front of an empty site on Old Street in London, which at the time of the picture being taken was the place to build our own bar. And the place we have built, we have designed very selfishly, because we have built a place where we want to go out, drink, and eat. We have also built a place where we want to go and work every day. The vision for the little company we have started was very simple. For us, we want to serve inspired and delicious drinks and food fast. And I say food as well, because I think that the future of a cocktail bar doesn't rest only on the drinks, and food is an important part of the culture of going out for drinks. So we wanted the food, but I don't like to wait for my drinks. I don't like to wait for a food, especially in a bar. So a lot of the emphasis we put here on how can we deliver it with a good timing. And overall, the mission of the project is to redefine how bars are designed, how they are managed, and how they are operated, but also inspire our guests by drinks and food they can't get anywhere else. So the sort of notion of going to the cocktail bar and what's being served there is possible only in this time, this place, and it's impossible to get it anywhere else, is definitely very important to me. So it's one big premises which house two different bars. The area where we are on Old Street is a very unusual part of London. It's 5-10 minutes from the city center, yet it is a part of the biggest center. It is the center point for all the tech firms. It's around the corner from the city, from all the financial institutions. But where we are is also extremely residential, and for that we knew that we needed this sort of modern neighborhood spot and we decided to call it elementary. So elementary is built on this very complex simplicity. Everything is as simple as possible, but it's never basic. It's an all-day bar which serves tasty seasonal drinks. You can get great bottomless coffee. You can get delicious snacks. But everything we do is super simple. Everything is on draft or batch ready to pour. We only use 3 different types of glasses: shot, bodega, and a highball. And it's a kind of place where you can do whatever it is you want, whether you want to get a coffee meeting or a late night drink. The second space we call taller, from Spanish, meaning workshop, or a space where manual work is done. And we very much see it as a workshop for food and drinks. So taller is a progressive bar where ingredients and flavor inspire everything we do. It's a combination of modern techniques, lots of long-established practices to create food and drinks that expresses the produce we work with. And I think already from the design, you can see that it's not your typical bar. It's, again, the design is very much a mixture of our particular taste and point of view on design. It combines the sort of Scandinavian functionality, Japanese minimalism, but of course, taking consideration our theme, it's always a little bit of punk. We are an independent bar, so everything has been built on a rather small budget, and everything you see there is made by our friends. So every piece of furniture, everything you see in there is somehow connected to our personal stories, and that's why it makes for a space which is so close to my heart, because I touch the bar counter and it's like sitting next to one of my friends who actually made it. The drinks we serve are very straightforward and straight to the point. We don't really use garnishes. The whole focus of the place is on the liquid itself. We don't have a classic back bar, as you see, because we aim to buy alcohol in bulk directly from the distilleries. So we work with the producers directly. We work with local breweries. We work with the winemakers. So everything we stock is unique, but also when we put it on the menu, we have a very close relationship with the producer. No matter whether the producer is big or small, we prefer to have good relationships. You can also note that the workplace is very unique and different. Most people kind of raise their eyebrows when they see our Hexagon station. Basically, the reason for this modern version of a bar was the whole concept of the place. Our menu changes pretty much every single day. We only prepare amount of the drinks we have the ingredients for. So if there's one basket of plums coming from one of the farms, we are limited by that one basket. And in order to be able to work this way, in order to have this flexible working space, we have designed this station. So essentially, when you look at it, you have a bartender working from each side, running their own section. The whole system or the principle of the station stems from the hexagon, so it's completely flexible system. Each of the hexagons can either work as a worktop, or if you flip it upside down, it can house bottles, whatever produce, the ice. So the idea here is that each bartender is different, and on different days you will have different needs from that section based on the season, the ingredients. So on one station, you might need to be able to run a water bath because you are serving a warm drink in the autumn. On the other section, you have a higher amount of shaken drinks, and therefore you will need to have more ice. So basically, the bartenders they come, they agree the sections, and they set it up according to the needs of the menu of that particular day. And the day after, there might be somebody else working, and they will set it up according to their needs. And this ultimate flexibility, of course, is great for different learning types of people, because we have people who work in a linear way, we have people who work in the circle way, but we also have bartenders who are left-handed. And this way, working on the station, they can set it up to how they like. We produce a lot of ingredients made from scratch. So we work with a lot of fresh produce. That's why we have the large preparation sink. Exactly like in the kitchen, we have raised edges to the bar. So if we spill, it doesn't float all over the place. We taken in consideration the cleaning. That's why you have two jets. You have a waste management system, so you can separate different types of waste. We have a flexible refrigeration system within the station. So if you need a freezer, you simply switch it on the beginning of the shift to the freezer, or you can change it to the fridge, and then you can plug in anything because it has its own electricity point. And I think as a bartenders, we often see the connection between bar and the kitchen. And whilst we do completely different things, I get a lot of inspiration from the kitchen. So this station actually was inspired. One of the many reasons, places which inspired was the old kitchen as a Noma, where you had these flexible benches which could host any station. And that for me was the eye opener. And then lastly, to speak about the station, the reason behind the hexagon shape was an article which I read about design, and it was essentially saying that all the great designs are inspired by nature, whether it's the shape of the wings, whether it's the way how structures are built. Everything takes inspiration from the nature. And when we've been looking at efficiency, at maximizing storage, durability, all of these different points brought us to the most perfect shape which occurs in the nature, which is hexagon, from the beehives all the way to the formation of precious stones. You find hexagon everywhere, and also you can store more bottles in a hexagon shape than you can in the regular bar station. Bunch of years ago, I was doing this perfume course in Grasse in France, and one of the afternoons we've been taken with the rest of the students to the laboratory, and on the doors of the lab was a little sign which kind of changed my life, because it said before creativity and perfumery, there's organization, methodology, and order. And there's this little sign of on the doors of a small perfume laboratory was a big turning point for me, because it defined a lot the way how I think about drinks, but also how I think about organization of the workplace. And I stolen it, but I borrow it, and we came up with this. Before creativity and mixology, there's organization, methodology, and order, and it kind of laid the foundation of everything we do. I don't believe in the traditional hierarchy. I think there are different ways of running a bar or a place, but in order to do that, you kind of need to lay out the philosophy. So for us, these rules you see here, there are funny quotes from people I admire, but this is the ground rules. So no matter what's happening, anytime, every time, all the time, lives or is expected to live according to these rules, including ourselves. And these rules, they kind of cool way how to deliver to young people the way how we think. So if you ever find yourself in a situation where you're not sure of what to do, you just go to these rules and you know they will give you the guidance you need. The first one, a very funny one, is simply don't be a dick. And that means that you need to be a nice person anytime, every time, all the time. You need to be nice to the suppliers, to your colleagues, to the guests, to everybody in our ecosystem and in our neighborhood. Because the actions you take around the corner or on your way to work, they might affect the overall situation at the bar. The second rule we have here is be there. And this is a quote from a very famous London concierge called Corrado Boni from the Connaught Hotel. And basically, this is one of the things Corrado is known to guide his team by. He expects people to be on the job 100% when they are on the job. And I think it's very important. And I will talk about discipline and focus later. When you're on the job, when you're here at work, you need to be here 100%. Always be Nolin is an American expression from Alex of Death & Co. And essentially it tells that everything you do, you need to do it properly. So if you labeling products, instead of tearing the tape with your fingers, you need to cut it nice and neat, do things properly. The next one, move fast, get shit done, is actually from Christian Puglisi from Copenhagen, one of my favorite chefs. I think it's very self-explanatory. I already told you that I don't like to wait for things. So moving fast, getting shit done is definitely what you expected when you work for me. And doesn't mean that you need to run. Crash is for toasters. This is a quote from Douglas McMaster and this whole zero waste movement. And definitely this applies to us because we have on the premises both bar and the kitchen. There's a big crossover and often what kitchen wood waste we can still use in the drinks, vice versa, or we use it in between our bars. So when we worked with rhubarb last year, we've been making these delicious rhubarb highballs for our all-day fast casual bar, elementary. We have then taken the leftovers of that cordial and fermented all this rhubarb in delicious wine, which found a way to the menu some 9 months later. But having that flexibility is very important. And the last rule, the most important one, is would you serve it to your mom? And that essentially explains what you should be doing when you're trying to cut corners. So for me, having a multinational team from all different corners of world, I often think, how do I communicate the things I want to communicate so they are clear for everyone? Because two people from different parts of the world might be saying the same thing in English. It will mean a very different thing to each of them, and both of them will correct. And I realize that no matter what your religion, where you come from, there's always one most important person in your life, and that is your mom. So every time you're cutting a corner, you ask yourself, would I do this to my mother? Would I underpour the gin on the gin and tonic, or would I give the best gin and tonic to my mom? And the answer is really simple. So while these rules are almost funny and very basic in a way, they I think very truthfully portray the way of how we think, how we go around on the business. When it comes to the actual product, to the food and the drinks, we have 3 very simple rules. Is this delicious? It must be delicious. It must be beautiful and well presented, and it must have some sort of a purpose. and as long as everything we do ticks off these three, it's actually a very simple place to work. The next thing I want to talk about is the hierarchy, or the way how we manage tier and elementary. So if you're looking at the screen on the left hand side, you see the traditional pyramid where all the orders are executed from the top, and then they kind of escalate down to the bottom. I felt when we've been studying this project that this was a very outdated system, and there are much better ways to organizing a bar or a kitchen, if you like. We very much see our operation as a human body. And if you think about how human body works, is that you have the individual organs fulfilling their function, and then overall the whole body works. So we choose to work and operate our place with flat organizational structure. We create roles for different things that need to be done throughout the venue. We define them in a very clear way. We set the expectations, and then we assign the team members who are best at doing those particular tasks. So if we think that Monica is the best one to run our social media, we give all of these social media management things and content creation to Monica, and she does it to her best knowledge, and we don't give her opinions. We might question in a meeting, or we ask questions, but ultimately she has the highest responsibility for that. The role of running all the barback tasks are decided by Lucas and Miriam, the guys who run these roles, day in, day out, on a weekly basis. So sometimes people come, when they start here, they come to me and ask for answers, but I just send them straight to Miriam and Lucas, because they are the best one to make those decisions. And every time they make a decision, I clearly see that they are making better decisions than I would ever make. And this is how we work. So, each of the team members might be filling different roles at different times of the week. We know that station number one, after they shut down the bar, are always cleaning the toilet. Station number two is doing a cash up, and the host is hoovering, and everybody is fine with that, because that's just one of the many roles they fulfill. And once all of this is running, you realize there's pretty much no space for management or extra manager, because everybody knows what to do anyway. Now, Gonzalo and the team at the Basque Culinary Center asked me a lot about what I think it takes to create a world-class winning bar. And I think the answer to that is never clear, one-directional and straightforward, because there's so many different types of bars. So when I was thinking about this, I picked the things you see on the screen right now. What makes a great bar great is million details executed right, and I don't think we would be able to list all of them, because they all also differ from one style of the bar to another. Because what will work in a biker's like a Harley Davidson bar will be completely different to what works in the hotel bars. And I think the most exciting thing about the profession is that there is so many different types of different establishments that work for different people. Clearly, if all the bars were the same, they would be all very boring. And I think we've seen it on a good example was the speakeasy bar, which was a short wave of one particular style of the bar, where no matter which city around the world you've been, you would get the same product, you would get the same ingredients, you would order the same drinks in Sydney like you would order in New York or London or Barcelona, and it was just plain boring. So one thing which is important to say is that there's difference about what makes a bar great and what makes award-winning bar. So we see it on the world's 50 best restaurants. Predominantly, all the winning restaurants are fine dining, offering some sort of a tasting menu. In the world's 50 best bars, it always involves the cocktails, and there doesn't seem to be any bar of a different nature that qualifies. But those lists have a very little in doing with a great bar, because there's many different types of great bars, and for different occasions we also go to different bars. To me personally, what makes a bar great is the why. It's all the question. Rather than this is what we're doing, it's like why we do the things the way we do. So asking yourself and questioning everything is very, very important. For me, the number one thing of what makes a bar great is a collaboration. Just thinking about what it takes to open a bar is a massive collaborative effort from designers, architects, from the engineers, from the bartenders, or the management, the way how they interpret the space. And if unless all of these people work together, you won't get a great result. Collaboration is very important for the whole bar team and for running the bar team, because everything rises or falls from the basics. You can have 15 best bartenders in the world, but if there's not a bar back to support them, the whole operation falls down, and after half an hour of a busy service, you don't have a glass to serve these amazing cocktails to. The collaboration again comes in mind with the producers, with the artists. You can work with the people who create your menus as a designer. We might decide what goes on the menu, but the way how it's laid out on the menu will be often a question for a designer rather than for a bartender, unless you're talking the order. Focus on the job is something I already touched upon. I think for anyone who wants to run a great place, you need to be focused, but you also need to take time to learn. So I think bartenders shouldn't rush. You shouldn't be chasing job titles of senior bartenders, head bartenders, or bar managers. Taking time to learn is the biggest luxury you have when you're starting in the business. And the more time you take to learn, the better your space will become. I personally must admit that I haven't dreamt about opening my own spot until not that long ago. I only knew that I wanted to open my own spot some 2-3 years before leaving Artesian. So it's important to give it a time. The discipline is definitely important part of not only running a bar, but running your own life. If you want to achieve things, you need to have a great personal discipline and a professional discipline. In the terms of the bar or a company culture, it is definitely also important to set the values. What is it you stand for? And again, nothing is wrong, nothing is right. You need to make those choices of what the values of your company are. And I fully appreciate that our values and what we want to do is not what many other people would do, but we're also perfectly fine with it. And I think one of the biggest luxuries is to be able to do what you want to be doing. And I think Monica, myself, and our team, we benefited hugely, and we understand it's a privilege that we don't care about what feedback, what thoughts people are. We have a very clear vision of what we do as a bar, and we do that, and that is connected to the goals. You know, what is your goals? What is you want to achieve? If you only want to be achieving to be award-winning bartender or award-winning bar, you're not going to be getting very far. You know, the goals need to be so much bigger. And one of the most important goals for me, and the reason why I enjoy personally success in my career, was that my main goal is always to be happy. If you're happy, if you don't care about the outcomes of the awards, if you just focus on what you enjoy doing, you have a very easy life, you have a very happy life, because most of the time you do the things that make you happy. And then the last thing, which in my opinion makes a bar great, is a great and strategic planning. So especially I think these days when it seems it's impossible to plan, it's important to have a short-term, mid-term, and a long-term plan with your business, with your bar, with your career. And whilst there's a flexibility in the place you need, you need to consistently plan for the short, for the mid, and for the long term, because without a plan, there's no journey. You don't necessarily need a destination, but you need a direction. Don't worry about perfection; you will never achieve it. But know which direction you want to be going. I think these 7 things are the ones which make any bar great. And then what do you do with your lighting, what smell the place has, what do you have on the menu, and which kind of bar station you have, that's all irrelevant, because it will only depend on what sort of bar it is you are building. The most important thing for your business will be people. And I think hiring people is one of the most difficult things. I personally rely, or we here rely on hiring right characters, having a diverse team, and we rely a lot on the actual feeling. I don't actually care about the knowledge of people. I just care about what kind of person you are. Everything else we can teach, or what we want we can teach you. We can educate you, and we will mentor you. I think the mentorship is very important, especially in professions like bartending. And it's also one of the things which will enable you to keep those people for as long as possible. But it's also important to realize that the most beautiful thing is to see people grow and become better than you. So whilst it's good to keep staff for long because they are happy, there's also important moment to realize that sometimes it's a time to go and take the next step. And you shouldn't be just hanging on people, but you should be actually pushing them to do the next step and to grow, because that will give you the biggest joy. When people who started with you from the bottom, when they grow and when they become successful, there's no better feeling I can think of. Now, I'm gonna completely, I think, stop now, and I would like to talk about the sort of development I see, because one of my tasks for today was to talk about where we are all heading. Very clearly, I don't have those answers. I'm observing, I'm learning, I'm trying to figure it out myself. But what we have seen in the last few years is that definitely cocktail is once again considered to be a culinary art, and that has been driven mainly and mostly by the interest people have in food, because that's grown thanks to craft beer, natural wine, and third wave coffee, also into cocktails. So people are really interested in the provenance of the ingredients, in the quality, in the way how they are made. So the sort of global thinking with local focus is very important, but it's also one of the reasons for the explosion of the cocktail culture was the demand from premium, because cocktail definitely is something premium and luxurious. The interest in the profession is also obviously driven by the interest of media, by the possibilities of what people and individuals and companies can achieve via social media, but also by realities of the marketplace. The marketplace is completely failing graduates. People need role models. People are looking for something real. Nobody wants to be really a politician. So people take pride and interest in things like bartending, because it is a craft. It is something with tangible results, and it's something very, very creative. But also, it's a lot of hard work. The focus of where it's going at the moment, obviously, and I'm going to be speaking for the UK. The COVID crisis has been absolute disaster, and they've been, unfortunately, and talking about UK, they've been very poorly handled by the government. The government definitely failed hospitality. It's quite shocking because hospitality in UK, we are in top 5 biggest employers. In 2017 alone, we have contributed 39 billion tax bills. So for me, it's very difficult to understand why the politicians don't see that those taxes won't be coming next year. Hospitality is a very important industry, which is a chain reaction to whatever it happens to us. When we limit opening hours, we use less cleaning products. The security companies suddenly cannot tend to hospitality. We sell less produce. So the chain reaction of one small change in hospitality is disastrous, and unfortunately we will see a lot of closures. But in the terms of the positive, for those who survive, I think what's going to be very good is that there's going to be this sort of natural clearance, and the great well-run places who will make it through will survive and thrive. And I hope it's not only going to be the sort of big chains with financial backings, because bars and restaurants are the places which create culture. The culture is not created in a corporate boardrooms and marketing departments. The culture is created in a bar and in the restaurant. Where cocktail is heading, I could be talking for hours about the latest trends, but instead I have decided to show you 3 places which I really like. The first one is Birdie in Melbourne in Australia, 100% locavore Australian concept. Then on the right hand side you see Amas, which is a restaurant and bar serving Amazonian produce. That's in Lima, Peru. And then lastly, at the bottom of your screen, this is Tenderland in Taipei, one of my favorite places around the world, which sells Taiwanese whiskey, beer, and snacks. And if I'm thinking about the future of a cocktail bar or bar in generally, we see that what's happening with these cutting edge venues is that these are the places which can only happen in Melbourne. This is places which can only exist in Lima. This is a place which can only exist in Taiwan. So while the concept of the bar and the counter remains the same, what gives it the identity in the global context is this super local focus and desire to stay unique, because that's what makes this world exciting, and that's what we should all be striving for. This incredible diversity you find in hospitality is just never-ending source of inspiration. So I think we very much see it with the restaurants, but the same thing is happening with bars. The places which do something you can get only in that particular context, the time and the place, are going to be the future. Focus on the liquid, not on the show. You know, I think that very much goes into how I think about cocktails, because for me, the most important thing is what you actually have in that bottle, what you have in that glass. And if anyone can make a very beautiful packaging or hire a advertising company to do that, but what really matters is what's inside the bottle. So to wrap it all up, for me, I'm going to use a very famous quote, which inspired me a lot. It's not about where you take things from, but where you take them. And I hope that you as a student are at the beginning of the careers, and I hope that soon we will recover from this crisis and you will have a chance to explore all the different things that makes a bar great. Take them, you get inspired by them, and once you have them back in your home, in your mind, you will be able to improve them and shape them into something very new, which will inspire myself and many other people around the world, because that's what makes the bar special. Is the community, is the social interaction, is the nice things we do to people. And lastly, if everybody wants to take a screenshot, or I can share it later on, I just grabbed a few books which inspired me. They are a mix of opinions and restaurants, thoughts about life and economy, and some opinions that I think it's very important to read for every bartender, because the most important thing in bartending is to, you know, shape your opinions, know what you do, and then just stick with it. There's no point to be bending over for one trend to another, because trends are like fashion, they come and go, they will be different every 3 months, but your bar needs to stay there for years to make a great business. And that's it. I think we're going to be ready to take questions. I'm going to open the chat. Have you ever wanted to give up, and what's your motivation to keep going every day? Oh my God, you have no idea how many times I wanted to give up. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. I think the amount of anxiety and uncertainty which has been going now is absolutely mad, and I suffer from it like everybody else. But the sort of motivation, what keeps me going, is my team. So when I see all those faces, when I see the life stories I'm responsible now for as an employer, that keeps me going. The people I have around me.
The first, I'm sorry. Thank you very much, Alex. Thanks for you thank you for opening your heart and tell us about your experience and explain the values of a modern day bartender. Thank you very much for your time too. Okay, we start with the first question. Have you ever wanted to give up? And what your motivation to keep going every day?
Oh yeah, I think I just answered that. So Definitely, there was a lot of times when I wanted to give up, especially during the COVID crisis. The anxiety, the uncertainty definitely affected me like everybody else. And I want to give up many times, but the stuff which kept me motivated was definitely my team. It was my staff, their life stories, and in a way, I feel great responsibility towards the people I employ.
Hi, Alex. Thanks again. Thanks a lot for your conference. I think it was really interesting for all of us. Between the audience, we have like many students that maybe they're planning to join or to have like some interviews for any bars or any hotels. Which one will be like your tips for a job interview in the bartender sector?
I think for the interview, it's very important not to try over impress, because when I'm interviewing someone or when we interviewing people, we can see through it. So be ready for unusual questions. Don't freak out only about the knowledge of the bar. You either have that or not, but representing the person you are, it's very, very important. I think it's also very important not to try to lecture or impose on whoever is interviewing you, because you have very short time to try to read that person and see how you click with them. Reality is that everybody does and conducts interviews in a very different way. So once you're getting into that place, whether it's a bar or a hotel, just try to understand what is wanted for you. And of course, you need to be prepared. If you're going to interview somewhere, you should know about the company, what they do. It also will make your life easier, because if you can align yourself with the value of the employers, it's so much more easier to work with them.
You were telling us that in this why you do what you do. One of the main facts that makes you like keep going were the planning. Is there any tool or any type of planning that you develop, or how do you plan this future?
Yeah, I often think anytime when I try to solve a problem, or when I'm trying to set up a plan, I try to take a step back and look at the bigger picture. Because I think it's very easy when you plan to get stuck on million small details. It's a technique good for any meeting, for solving of any problem. First, you need to have a good understanding of the overall bigger picture, and only after that you start to solve the details. So I think the best way how to do it is try to look at the issue from a few different perspectives, which is something very difficult to do. But if you try to look at the bigger perspective, a different perspective, and try to see patterns, that it will enable you to plan better, because there's pattern in everything. Sometimes they are more visible than other times, but seeing patterns will help you to plan better.
Maybe also it's not good like to obsess with the patterns and find any pattern. It's like sometimes the patterns just come to you, right?
Yeah, I think it's about reading the information, because we live in the overload of data, but being able to extract the right data, the right information from whatever it is you're solving will help you the most.
And then Alex, the last question. Do you think bartenders will have the same relevance as a chef?
I think we definitely do not have the same relevance in the eyes of the media and society yet. It's changing. We're playing a catch-up as a gastronomic discipline, because the interest started so much later. But I think anyone who has a very good understanding of the gastronomy and the business, the bars are much better revenue centers. They can be bringing more money to the business. So we definitely have often a higher relevance in the financial sense, and we just need to work to continuing putting the profession on the pedestal. So definitely we have the same relevance, but maybe from the perception of the society, not yet. But this has been for my friends and for myself, I think for our generation, a lifelong focus to put that profession where we think it should be sitting.
I think it's a good way, to finish with this reflection about the equal about chefs and bartender. Alex, unfortunately, we don't have any more time to spend with you. It's been an honor. It's been a pleasure. We really enjoyed all your conference, and I think during this time you were a mentor. That you were saying that it's important, like, to have a mentor during this place. I think today we just connect a little bit more with you, and we just want you to give you the encourage to keep fighting during this second lockdown that you're having in London, in this terrible situation that we're all going through. Wishing you the best of the luck. In name of Basque Culinary Center, we really want you to thank you for sharing your knowledge with all of our students, and we hope to be able to visit you in London as soon as possible.
Thank you so much. Thanks to the Basque Culinary Center for hosting me and doing these meaningful activities. It means the world to me. Thank you, and see you soon.
Thank you very much, Alex.
Alex.